commentary, son. Holy shit! I hear myself thinking.
One little action can really make a whole huge deal in the entire set.
The Unity Dittos are fucking stupid.
Happy feet, combo.
PC survives that attack. Both players are on their feet again to hit each other. Oh my god.
Hello everybody, welcome to Directional Influence episode 43, brought to you by VVV Gaming. I am your host, Rapture, and I'm bringing you an awesome episode that is, I guess, reminiscent of back in the day because we have the actual full cast here, which doesn't happen quite often. First off, the person who's here most of the time, 95% of the time, is Will. How you doing?
Yo, what's up? I'm actually really surprised that you remembered what number episode this was.
Yeah, I actually have quite the inability to remember what episode number it is, but that was a good call by you. Good stuff. And then, of course, we have our other co-host who has come back from the pits of hell somewhere. I don't know where he's actually been, but he got a haircut and made him mad cute, no homo. But it's Matt, aka PD. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to be back.
Yeah, hype. So DI is back. Well, I mean, we sort of did that shtick already, like a few episodes ago. But anyway, tonight we have a lot to talk about, and by a lot I mean a lot. I mean, there's no other way to really say it. This weekend was absolutely ridiculous. These past few weeks have been really ridiculous for competitive gaming, and more so for Nintendo fans, and even more so for Smash players like ourselves. So, without further ado, I'd like to jump into this episode. But this week we've got, first off, the 3DS getting a price drop, a very, very, almost maybe not unexpectedly, but definitely quickly and suddenly. And with that, the little petitioning, hype group called Operation Moonfall. We'll talk about that a little bit, but it's very interesting, and you guys will love to hear about it. Then we'll talk about Long Island Regional Revival, which was hosted by Vinny, and the three of us showed up for that, and we had a great time, and some stuff went down there, so we'll talk about that. That happened this past weekend. And then finally, along with LIRR came MLG Anaheim, which we're not going to talk about, but that was awesome. But EVO 2011, featuring games like Super Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Marvel, etc., etc., etc. And there's a lot that's been going on with the Smash community in pertaining to EVO and how EVO actually went. So I'm sure you guys would like to hear about that and our thoughts on that. So stay tuned for episode 43 of Directional Influence.
All right, everybody. So I don't know if you've heard, but
I just told them.
Listen, nobody actually listens to you, but it's actually in the news all over the place that the Nintendo 3DS is having a price drop starting on August 12th, 2011, and everybody knows the price. The original price was $249.99, and like we said, this was not very unexpected, but I was very surprised how much they actually cut down the price. It's going to be $169.99, which is extremely awesome because I've actually been really looking forward to purchasing a 3DS, even though, well, especially after E3 because of all the demos we played. But all those games won't be coming out till later on, but I'd like to have one, just in case.
Yeah.
And for Ocarina of Time, obviously.
Obviously. And the 3DS was... And actually, I want to point this out, though, and this is interesting, because we all know that Nintendo doesn't like to sell things without making an immediate profit. So it's interesting
this is a big deal, yeah.
So this is interesting to note that how much they knocked down the price, that they can still sell it for profit at $169.99, whereas it was... like, what, $90 more, and they were obviously making a profit off of that?
The thing that I read an article saying that by cutting the price down that much, they will actually not be making money off of the 3DS.
Really?
Like, not for a while. Like, until, how their portable devices do. They sell really well, and they'll eventually make money off of it. But right now, they're, like, in the minus. Or at least they were. And, who is it? Was it?
It was I think I know you're going, and there was the former president.
The former president?
Yeah.
Yeah, he cut his. He.
Oh no
agreed-
all the executives cut their salaries.
It was
but
all the executives.
a lot of them, and the former president of Nintendo lost like $30 million because of how much he owned of Nintendo. And
I just saw that like the executive cut his actual yearly salary by 50% in order to sell the 3DS.
The president of Nintendo.
yeah, that was Iwata.
Okay.
Yeah, Iwata himself cut it, and then other executives cut that, which is interesting because in America, if people were losing money, they'd just make more money, and shit would go down the toilet. But we don't sell
no honor,
no honors to the family, and
I mean, this actually is like it's kind of a concern for me because I'm an avid portable gamer. I love all of Nintendo's portable systems, and I just hate to see if like somewhere along the line like portable gaming is just not as strong as it used to be, or it's just like all the like the iPhone and iPod like $1 app games that they're just the little addicting games that like don't really matter, but like people would rather buy those or something.
Here's the problem. And this, I will tell us in the Smash in a second, but the problem with it is that that Nintendo needs to be really innovative for some reason. I don't understand why, but Nintendo has a innovative fetish. Okay,
it's their selling point now.
Right, it is, and it honestly, I don't agree with it all the time. I've never been an advocate for 3D. I don't like 3D TV. I hate 3D movies. I just saw Captain America, and I just opted not to see it in 3D. And by the way, that movie was pretty good. Anyway, but like the 3DS, when we played it at E3, I didn't have the 3D on at all because it's to have it is such an inconvenience. And to be honest, I don't want to play a game in 3D. I just want to play the game how it is. And I think Nintendo is putting too much on the innovative hardware and not much on the software. And I got that vibe from the Wii U as well when we played it at E3. The hardware itself is innovative, obviously. But the software that is not there at all, and the software that I did play, I'll give you a good example, Ghost Recon. I mean, one of the reasons why they made the Wii U controller the way they did is to make it cool, comfortable, whatever, but also convenient. And it would look weird, according to, I don't remember who said it, someone from Nintendo, maybe a rep or whatever. It would be weird for it to have full-on analog sticks when the thing's supposed to look sleek and all of that. But now it has the little analog nubs, the same thing that the 3DS has. The game's not accurate. I couldn't play Ghost Recon like I could Call of Duty on the Xbox or PS3 or Halo or Gears or whatever it is because it's not accurate. It's those little analog nubs that don't play well with sensitivity. But it's all with that innovative stance that they have, and the same thing for the 3DS. They think the 3D is going to be really awesome, and now they're getting to the point where the 3D is now more so an option when it was the major selling point back in 2010. 2010. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, you can't sell any system with like 3 launch titles.
Yeah, that's why the 3DS. I mean, the 3DS kind of really did not have the launch titles that it needed. And Nintendo realized that quickly, and this crazy price drop, which a lot of you are going to benefit from, and the others that already purchased the system are going to be getting those 20 free games.
That you probably own.
The thing is, when I saw the list, like a lot of people are going to be excited about that. Like we are not too excited about it because we're from the generation where we've played all the games already. Yeah. We either own them or we've played. All right, I'm going to be honest. Played them in some point.
Who the hell is going to get the 3DS early, or who had it, or is so hyped about it because they can play Ice Climber again? Like really? Like, the only interesting games are the Game Boy Advance games, and I own all of them. And that's why I still have my original DS Lite, because I had the DS slot, which, why they got rid of it is beyond me. I know it makes the system smaller, but that's like the coolest thing is to have that backwards compatibility, and now the latest models don't.
That goes for every system out there, though.
I don't care.
They just stop at some point having that backwards capability. We saw it with the PS3, and we wondered, God, why, but...
Like, kind of is. I think it's because like if you did want to purchase that other system that will play your games, there's still a reason to purchase it. Like there's still a reason people buy PS2s.
Well, there's more so a reason with the DS, because the DS, like the PS2 is like 10 years old. Okay, like there's a good reason why people don't buy PS2s a lot of the time. But there's very many good reasons to buy a DS. There aren't many 3DS games out there. The DS is still, in terms of console, like longevity, like isn't like old. Like no one's going out there to buy a GameCube anymore. No one's going out there to buy, an original Xbox. But the DS is very much a still current system.
And in my opinion, when the backward compatibility falls out of the newer generations, it gives you a reason to hang on to your
Right.
I'm not going to get rid of my DS Lite.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. And this is actually interesting, and this is how I want to sort of swing it into Smash. But for those of you who don't remember, from E3, they announced very, very briefly that Smash was coming to the Wii U and 3DS, only for us to find out soon afterward that development hadn't even started because Sakurai's team, Project Sora, was still working on Kid Icarus Uprising for the 3DS. Will, you brought this up earlier, where portable gaming is going to go. If the 3DS doesn't really hold up as well as Nintendo thinks it would have, and that may change because now, the thing is actually, like, affordable. But that now puts into question, Smash Bros. Is one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, and people clamor for the next Smash Bros. All the time. Where if it's even going to show up on the 3DS anymore, because if Nintendo doesn't have that kind of confidence in the system, that may, swing Sakurai to just be like, well, I might as well just, make it for the Wii U.
I don't know. I'm hoping they don't make it for 3DS, to be honest, because I don't know. I'm sure it'll sell well, but I probably won't play it. I don't want to play a portable Smash Brothers. Sorry.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, I agree. What you said, Dakota. I think that overall they need to stop worrying about innovation in their hardware and just go like the path of, Xbox and PS3, where like they don't have like necessarily huge innovations in technology. Like they have better graphics, shit will run better, but their games are gonna sell because they're good quality games. Like there were a lot of PS3 even lacked on release with games, but they also had a lot of other positives about it. Like they had a Blu-ray player in their PS3. They had you can go on the internet on your PS3 no problem. You don't have to buy some sort of app for it like you did for the Wii. Like Nintendo is just too focused on innovation being their main selling point, where they forget like why people buy Nintendo games in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because to be honest, Skyward Sword looks, okay, fun, but I'd rather play that with a GameCube controller. Like, I'd rather not stand up and swing my sword. I think that's the stupidest thing. One-to-one sword swinging is the dumbest thing.
I really don't understand it either, to be honest. Like,
I think they should give you at least a customizable option. Again, when I hear you saying this, Dakota, I feel like you're just forgetting that in the new generation, people enjoy actually playing games like that are not hardcore gamers.
But that's the thing, though, is that I don't know anybody that does. I think
to include that and the older generation of, hardcore gamers, or just people that are just avid gamers, not necessarily hardcore, because we throw that term around a lot. Like, they should have at least options. Every game that comes out, unless if they just don't care about their GameCube controller anymore because they no longer make them because they were sued or whatever. Like, maybe that's why. I don't know.
Well, they don't make them anymore because the GameCube isn't being made. And it's obvious that they want to push the new hardware because that costs more and they want to make money. But, what they did with Smash Bros. Was great. They had 4 different control schemes. And many people, 2 of them are not widely used by the competitive scene, but for many people that didn't have a GameCube controller, it's really cool.
One of them's unusable.
Yeah, one of them's completely unusable competitively, but it's still nice to have. I'm not going to tell them, well, it's, get rid of that, the Wiimote only one. That's stupid. But for people who only happen to have a Wiimote or don't mind because they don't play competitively, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Same thing with Skyward Sword. If you don't want to stand up and swing your arms around like an idiot and play a video game like they've normally been played for the past 30 years, they should have that option. And I'm not one that doesn't necessarily go for change, but there's a difference between change and just stupid innovation. And maybe motion control isn't stupid innovation, but at least let the gamers decide, because there's many games I would love to play without having to, quote-unquote, get a workout and not be a fat, obese American just to get, an objective done. I'm perfectly fine with running on my own. Like, real talk. That's real talk right there. And that brings us back to Smash, because if Wii U comes out with Smash, well, first of all, I'll tell you that I've been saying this to everybody that doesn't seem to understand this, but you will not be playing Smash on the Wii U controller. I will tell you that a bazillion times over. Beside the fact that they're only making one per console, so that wouldn't even make any sense. So people, I still see people doing that to me, like, well, the Wii U controller doesn't look that bad. Doesn't matter what you think it looks like. You're not using it.
It's more of a screen. It's more of like you're the juggernaut if you're using that.
Yeah, like we played like
only
one
person gets to use it.
Yeah, that one guy was like this, the friggin' badass flying around and shooting at people. You're not ever going to have that. Ever. That's not going to happen. You'll use the Wiimote Classic controller. The only person that's really prepped for that is like Pee-wee that I know of, because he uses the Classic controller, and I know some other people do too. That's what you're going to be using. There's no GameCube ports. There's not more than one Wii U controller. And if there is, it'll be two. You're going to use the Classic controller or the Nunchuck or the Wiimote by itself. That's what you got. It's Smash Bros. It's Brawl without the GameCube controller. There you go. That's it. There are your options. I'm ranting too much.
All right.
Anyway, before we move on to the next topic, there's one thing I did want to talk about, which caught my attention recently, called Operation Moonfall, which I mentioned earlier. Operation Moonfall is this pretty much community gathering of people who want to get Majora's Mask remade on the 3DS in the same vein that Ocarina of Time was, because the Legend of Zelda producer is very optimistic and hopeful of that happening and wants to hear opinions and all of that. So I like that idea, so you guys should all look at that. It's on Facebook and Twitter and all of that, and the reason why I'm plugging it is because Majora's Mask is a freaking awesome game, and I like it more than Ocarina of Time, Flame Shield, but it's hype. So go check that out, and I'm going to stop ranting because now we have to talk about Long Island Regional Revival, which was in many ways very hype. All right, everybody, so Long Island Regional Revival happened this past weekend, put together by Vinny over in Franklin Square, Long Island, New York, in this gaming venue.
You don't even know the name of the place?
Nope. Don't know the name of gaming venue. What was it called?
I believe it's called Tenba.
Doesn't matter.
Tenba Gaming Center.
Whatever.
But
Either way, we were all there. About 50 people, I think, showed up, and
52 to be exact.
Okay, 52 and 18 teams and doubles.
We had an amazing amount of teams.
For those of you who don't know, New York, New Jersey is very prone to not having anyone enter doubles because everyone knows who's going to win doubles. But it seemed like people wanted to, sign up for that, so we had 18 teams and a lot of hype between that. Matt, since you haven't said much for your comeback here at DI,
yeah,
why don't you tell us a little bit about how LIRR went?
We've been to this venue, I believe, once before. I believe that's the only. I'm pretty sure it's only one event before this that we've hosted before, but it was definitely exciting because this is probably the first relatively large Long Island tournament we've had in a while. Ever since, we've lost a lot of venues over the years. Like, a lot of venues that were good, they either became bad somehow or outclassed, and just, really, we were clinging to Game Table for a while, and everybody knows how bad Game Table was towards the end. So, this venue, we definitely got to show it off to a lot of people this weekend, which is probably what I'm most hyped about, because although this one was pretty big, it definitely could have been bigger. It definitely could have been hyper. And there definitely, could have been just people will know. There could have been
more setups.
Yeah, more setups by far. But people know about this venue now, and they know that it's a nice location. There's a lot of food places around it. The owner is relatively chill. And, it's definitely a great venue. So, I think that it was pretty successful. We had over 50 entrants for singles, and we managed to do pools, although we kind of didn't finish the tournament on time, but I mean, that was mostly because, I mean, we only had 6 setups to begin with, and then somebody took their setup 2 hours before the tournament, which, by the way, if you guys bring a setup to the tournament, don't do that. That's really rude. So it was pretty hype. We had some good sets. We had pools, which was good for a lot of the newcomers. They got to play a lot of matches. So overall, I'm pretty sure it was a relatively successful event, and I'm hoping that we get another one out pretty soon. It's definitely a regional worthy venue. I gotta say that.
Yeah, it was quite a fun event. A lot of hype stuff went down, and yeah, I mean, the length of the tournament was unwieldy. I mean, pools went for hours.
Pools was crazy because we had eight pools and we only had 6 setups, or we had more than 8 pools, something like that. But like, yeah, if we had just enough setups to have 1 setup per pool, I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems was that we had all the pools on every setup, but 2 pools didn't start until like an hour or 2 in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like, I was talking to Coontail because his pool wasn't going. I was like, so how you doing your pool? It's like, my pool hasn't even started yet. I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. I mean,
to be fair, a lot of newcomers did come, and I don't know how aware all of them were that, it's like bring a setup is like the tournament thing to do, because there were a lot of new feet. I want to say there were like a good 15 to 20 new feet. Like, there were so many new people.
Well, even then, I mean, that and the fact that because there weren't like a lot of setups, no friendlies were going on really. So that sort of sucked for a lot of the new people. Where pools is cool, but I mean, mostly people don't want to like friendly with ADHD who happens to be in their pool or something like that.
And Vinny and I actually discussed this, and next time, so that we don't have to be worried, since this was our first real like regional that we kind of collaborated on setting up, next time, well, since we did have $5 venue this time, which may or may not have got more people to go, we're glad we got people interested in the venue, but next time we're probably going to have to do 10, just so that we don't have to be worried about the time restraints, because that was the reason we only had the venue to us.
Well, honestly, that wasn't a problem. $5 is fine, and
no shit, it's fine. But we need to do 10 so that we have the time.
But the time
we can give discounts on venue if you bring setups. That's where I was going.
But like, if we just had enough setups, it would have been fine. We wouldn't have ran that long.
Yes, but we didn't have enough setups, so you needed incentives to get more setups.
Maybe people are just not smart enough to bring a setup. And we don't have to charge people that normally are not falling under that.
Trust me, $10 was actually the standard. 5 was cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm advocating.
No. I know what you mean, Dakota. And I mean, I would love to give people, a $5 venue fee, but honestly, like, these LAN centers, like, they don't have a lot of income. Like, this guy was nice enough to like give us a relatively cheap venue fee at first. He's nice enough to let us host in his thing. He's clearly a nice person. So, I mean, not only will a $10 venue fee give people more incentive to bring setups, which has been proven in the past, but
it'll give him more incentive to have us back.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Because he actually said that if we didn't break 50, that it was like not looking good in terms of running another like regional there. So for the size of the event that we did and for the length of it. So that's why.
That makes sense. Though getting on to the actual tournament, though, a lot of hype stuff went down. I did commentary for a lot of it, along with Black and Ease. Josh jumped
talk
on.
About doubles.
Doubles was what I was getting to. Doubles went pretty amazingly. There were no pools for that, obviously. That ran really smooth, and we got that done around like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And
Black and Ease and TV have the best doubles team in the nation.
Apparently, Black and Ease and TV. Black and Ease is now known for only entering doubles, as he had for quite a long time. He teams with TV. They go Zero Suit and Game & Watch. And
if you guys don't know, Black and Ease is actually the true doubles god.
He is.
Like, you hear about Inui but no. Like, Black and Ease is like under the radar. He's like the best doubles.
Black and Ease is good. Like, he's just he's very good in doubles. Like, doesn't matter who he teams with, he's just good, and he's mad funny, and he's awesome, and he's someone that even if he wasn't good, you'd probably team with him anyway. But I mean, when it comes down to it, when he throws out like 3 full buckets on M2K in doubles, you got to be like, well, who's the real doubles god? It's obviously this guy. I
can definitely vouch for TV as well, because anytime I've ever teamed with Blacka, we've always done really well. We've always like pretty much placed in the money. And the one time I ever teamed with TV, we like took ADHD and Nairo to like game 3 and like last hit.
He's a smart player, and he has a nasty zero suit. Yeah. And I mean, the amount of work he probably put into that character may not rival that of like anti or ADHD, but he's definitely up there. I don't know how well he did in singles, but the hype ended up being in what was it, winners finals? Did they play Mewtwo King and Anti first? It was in winners, because Anti and Mewtwo King weren't out yet. I knew that it was in winners, and Black and E's and TV play them. I was doing commentary at the time, and I mean, it came down to TV ended up spiking Mewtwo King. I believe it was Anti. I believe it was Mewtwo King really early in game 1, and that gave them the momentum to take game 1, and that was extremely hype right there. But we knew the set wasn't over, and Mewtwo King and Anti actually knew that for a fact because they counterpicked them to Yoshi's Island Brawl, and demolished them. I mean, absolutely demolished them. So we go to game 3, and Black and E's and TV counterpick Final Destination, which was interesting because we didn't. I mean, at least I and some other people didn't really think of the benefits for Final Destination for a Game & Watch Zero Suit team.
I could tell you.
What was that?
It's one of the biggest stages that's legal horizontally. So if they are close to each other, it's going to take you a lot longer to get to them before they have the 3.
That's true. And that was one thing that I think was brought up to me, but another thing was because Zero Suit isn't really good head-to-head on Meta Knight, that because there's really nothing allowing Zero Suit to hide, and there's really no good way for Zero Suit to approach Meta Knight, that it wouldn't be a good opportunity. But they proved us wrong, and how this turned out was TV and Black and E's, I mean, they put in an immense amount of work, and I mean, they really took Anti and Mewtwo King to like on the ropes. And I believe, I don't remember how this happened, but he ended up Black and E's ended up landing the bucket on one of the Meta Knights, and I don't remember who died first. Do you remember?
It was definitely Mewtwo King getting bucketed the most in the sets, because when he focuses on somebody, he goes all in, and he doesn't really, he'll completely juggle you. But if there's something coming up from behind him, especially with a broken giant hitbox, I guess it's a little harder to keep track of. But I know for a fact that he was the one getting bucketed. I don't know who was the last Meta Knight left in the set, though.
I believe it was Anti who was last left.
Okay.
Either way, they're both Meta Knight, and the first Meta Knight gets bucketed. So the 2-on-1 situation, and I mean maybe a second or two later.
Oh, it was so crazy.
Second or two later, I mean everybody is absolutely hype, and I know when the videos go up, if there's commentary, you'll hear me screaming because I was literally off my seat with the mic on because I couldn't.
Do you remember exactly what happened?
Yeah, I remember what happening was, it was a 2-on-1 situation, and I mean TV and Black and E's were right on top of each other, and Blacka went in for.
Okay, well you got it wrong first off.
What?
Because they were in the 2v1 situation, and the reason they were right on top of each other was because TV landed a pivot grab on the Meta Knight, and he's holding him for the air release. It's set up, but I think Blacka goes into a little too close to charge the up smash, and instead of hitting Meta Knight, he hits ZSS, and she dies off the top.
Yeah, I mean...
And we were like, oh my god, it's all over.
And
because
this was...
it's like Anti versus Meta Knight, and it's Anti as Meta Knight versus Black and E's as Game Watch, which is not a very good matchup. But their percents were actually pretty even, if I remember.
But I mean, it was so close to when they got the bucket kill on Mewtwo King. I mean, the hype was you could cut through it with a knife, and then it just died immediately because he got the
Yo, Blacka stayed hype though.
Blacka stayed hype. He was still in there. TV was a little like, oh my god, I cannot believe that. But Blacka didn't care. He was unfazed at that smile on his face. He was ready to go. And I mean, that was, if they lost, I would have been sad, and I would have lost faith in
Dude, we were waiting in the losers. We were like, all right, this would be so awesome if they win, but if they win, we're gonna have to play Anti-Mewtwo King and losers.
Yeah, that does screw around with the bracket a little bit there, but
I don't know what happened. I just remember like Meta Knight being at like 80 or 90.
he ended up, I think he ended up landing a
down
forward smash.
I think it was a down smash because I remember him going off the top like straight up.
Yeah,
so.
that sounds like a forward smash kill. I'm pretty sure it was I'm pretty sure that
with any sort of DI, forward smash at 80 or 90 does not send you up.
Yeah, but he either way. I was pretty sure it was a forward smash kill because I mean he was just out of Anti's range and then just landed it just barely. But you may be right. It may have been a down smash.
Either way, that whole set in itself, aside from the victory, the first game they took of that set was the first game that Anti and Mewtwo King have ever dropped in doubles.
Yes.
To anyone. And they ended up winning the set versus them, so that was their first set loss.
Yeah, I mean, correct us if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct, and that's amazing stuff for TV and Black and East, who ended up getting third behind Mewtwo King and Anti, who came back to, I think, win it. I know Nairo and ADHD were either first or second. I mean, they did a lot of work. It was awesome. Singles, though, went so long.
Singles was so slow. I felt like my pool was the slowest, but I'm sure there are others as well. Because my pool, there was a Sonic, there was a Toon Link, there was a Peach, there was a R.O.B, and there was me trying to both not get camped and kill them as fast as I could. It was like, it took so long. Oh my god.
And Matt, you entered singles for the first time ever.
Not ever, but
ever.
I mean, I wasn't sure if I wanted to, but I decided I wanted to try Meta Knight.
How'd that go?
It went all right. I mean, I definitely have a lot to learn with Meta Knight. It's actually really hard to play Meta Knight at this point in the metagame, but I mean, I did 2-0 all the people that, I mean, I guess most people would view as randoms. I did 2-0 all of them, and I lost 0-2 to Nairo, although I didn't play Meta Knight. I went Wario game 1 and then Marth, but I wasn't really practicing them, so, I mean, obviously he bodied me. And then I also lost 0-2 to Exax, who I tried to Meta Knight Ditto game 1 and it didn't work out because apparently I have a lot to learn in that matchup. And game 2 I lost to his Falco because that matchup also confuses me.
To be honest, XX has a lot of like reaction time and he just moves really fast. And for the most part, I think that you could chill back with a lot of characters, especially like Martha and Wario. But with Meta Knight, you have to be like on crack. Like at certain times you can camp, but like the faster you play, like the better it is. I feel like that from watching like Nairo and stuff. That's, I don't know. It just feels like that's where the meta game is going toward.
Yeah, that's kind of what I tried. It didn't work out bad. It wasn't like he didn't dominate me or anything. It was actually pretty close. And then I actually ended up playing him in losers bracket because I did make it into the bracket 3rd seed, and I actually beat his Falco with Wario game 1 because I do know that matchup, and it's pretty easy. And he went Meta Knight, and he randomly knew the Wario matchup really well. Like he was literally one of the best Meta Knights I've ever played in that matchup.
Wait, who is this?
XX.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I don't know how he knows that matchup, but it was actually pretty annoying. So I had to switch off. Did I switch off Wario? Yeah, I went Snake game 3, even though I haven't played Snake in a long time, and that was actually relatively close against his Meta Knight. But I forgot how to play like the nuances of that matchup, and just kind of lost.
So you actually ended up playing XX twice?
Yeah, I played him in pools and then losers bracket.
Yeah, that was one of the things that was pretty interesting for me, was that the way that the size of this tournament and the fact that there were pools, like I ended up playing Chibo twice, and it was actually kind of cool for me to be able to play someone more than once, but at the same time, like a lot of other people wouldn't see it that way. But I know Chibo was also intrigued to play me again. That is until the set was over. But
I did lose the Chibo as well in winners bracket. That was my first loss. I went D both games because I want to play D. He's always, for people who actually don't know, he's actually one of my favorite Nintendo characters, and I would like to play him in Brawl, but Meta Knight exists. So I did.
I feel like in that matchup, you just have to. From what I saw, you were figuring it out very like toward the end. It was like it's pretty basic, but it's like read the laser, power shield it, and then read the top and forward tilt it. It looked like.
Yeah,
like
I think so. It's also just
at that point, it's just easier to get in.
It's just a lot of waddle DTOS too. I think I'm like the most aggressive man with DDD in the world for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't see enough peeps being thrown.
Yeah, I should have thrown peeps. And that's what Josh told me. Josh told me to throw peeps, and I guess it's just not in my nature. I haven't played DDD in tournament in a while, so I'm going to definitely work on my DDD more. I definitely want to play a lot. I don't know, for some reason I've got a lot of passion lately for a lot of like characters I used to play but have since dropped, like DDD, Snake. I don't know.
Alright, word. Train with us then. I'm playing a lot more Marth and Meta Knight in friendlies, so I'll give you like other practice. Like you don't have to just play.
Speaking of practice.
Yes, let's talk about your tournament experience, Dakota.
No, I don't want to talk.
No. I want to hear like because you said you're more inspired now after.
My tournament experience was alright. For those of you who don't know me as a player, I know like if I'm not playing, I can tell you a good amount about the game. I'm sure these two know more about the game. I'm sure I can tell you for a fact they do, but I can definitely talk about the game, which is one of the reasons why I do this podcast. But when it comes to playing it, I fucking suck, okay? I'm not ever going to be good soon. And, I have, like Pray and Trade, for example, which was the last tournament I went to, or even the Plainview Play and Trade. I do bad, or I do relatively good, but I had a fun time. Whereas at LIRR, if there wasn't commentary, oh my god, the experience I would have had would have sucked. And the reason for that is because, we got into, I didn't enter doubles. I don't really enter doubles because I'm not good to team with anyone, and I like commentating doubles more than playing it. So I didn't do doubles. I entered singles, and when I got my singles pool, I was put into a pretty rape. I knew I wasn't getting out of pool. 7 people, and I could already tell who the people were that were going to make it out. And those people ended up being ADHD, John Numbers, and Kadaj. And I knew I wasn't going to beat ADHD, I knew I wasn't going to beat Kadaj, and I knew I wasn't going to beat John Numbers. Though John Numbers I felt like I could have beaten. The problem with how I play the game is that I still have a problem with losing, as many bad players do. And for me, it's either I have a fun time playing pools, because even if I'm not going to make it out because I just want to play more matches, or I don't feel like playing pools because I'm not going to make it out. And my first match was against Hippie Dude, and this pretty much was the match that pretty much like turned pools bad for me.
Okay,
Hippie Dude,
that's your first problem.
What?
But continue, but
let me explain.
Make sure that your first pools match is one that will encourage you.
Right. Well, let me explain this to you. What happened was I wasn't even supposed to play Hippie Dude. I wanted to play Blues first, and the reason why I wanted to play Blues first, Blues is a good player. He's not a terrible random. But the reason why is because I played him before, and I'd be comfortable playing him. We've traded sets, whatever. So if anything, if I lost to him, I wouldn't have a big deal with it because I've lost to him before. So I wanted to play Blues, but when Blues played his match before me, he got up, whereas I thought he would sit down, and Hippie Dude took his place. I had never played Hippie Dude before. I knew he went Luigi. I figured, okay, whatever. But my problem was that I had a very early lead because I ended up gimping him really early. And then he ended up shuriking me twice to get the lead back, and that killed my momentum. Absolutely killed it. He was able to land it on me very easily. Because I don't really know the matchup too well to know the setups he's gonna make into him. And I had an idea after the first one, and I killed him, so I had the lead still. But I mean, he brought it back so quickly, and he took the game. That killed my motivation right there because I had such a lead that game 2. I mean, I wasn't focusing. I was playing attention, and I just got solidly beaten. So that made me 0-2 in my pools, where I then played blues and 2-0'd him. So I felt pretty good, and I was like, all right. I mean, if I take out John Numbers, there may be a chance if John Numbers loses. John Numbers would ended up beating Kadash, so that wouldn't happen. But I ended up playing Kadash, and I mean, Kadash 3-stocked my Meta Knight with his own Meta Knight. He knows that Ditto very well. But I don't know how to really use any other character that's good against Meta Knight. I mean, I know Kirby, but Kirby gets bodied. So I mean, I got absolutely murdered. So I ended up going Kirby. I ended up doing a little better, but I still ended up ultimately losing. And from there, I didn't want to play anymore. So I played Omari was in my pool, and I know I could definitely like beat Omari, though he's like probably better than me. But I didn't want to play, so I pretty much didn't try, and I didn't feel like playing, and I lost to him. Then I played John Numbers, didn't feel like playing, lost to him. I didn't even play ADHD. And I mean, that sort of killed all the motivation I had for playing the game because I did so absolutely terrible and my pool was that much better than me overall that I just didn't want to play anymore. So I promptly got off. I didn't want to play. I went back on commentary and tried to enjoy the rest of my night. But I had a talk with John Numbers. And for those of you who don't know who John Numbers is a Lucario main. And I mean, he's known for his charts and all of that on Smashboards and all his brawl, whatever. But the guy, like, and he told me this, he always just wants to have fun, regardless. I've never seen the guy, like, actually mad. And if he is, it's maybe, like, in play. But he just told me, well, just have fun. Just, don't really worry about it. It's a video game. And I've had people tell me that before, but I just, like, it sort of resonated with me a little more. And then he convinced me somehow to play Snake because apparently every one of his moves make a really cool sound. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stick with Meta Knight. But I don't know. I mean, I ended up being oddly motivated to play the game afterwards, even though I was severely unmotivated during the tournament. So I don't know. I actually walked away with a very odd experience, and I'm actually somewhat excited to train with Will this Friday night.
I think this was probably a turning point for you because everyone goes through that at some point where they're just like they get super, super frustrated. But it's the fact that you do get motivated after, and the fact that you were so down on yourself is like one of the reasons why you want to like put in the work.
Right.
And, like, that'll be your driving force.
You told me this, oddly enough, a week or two ago, that I was going to hit that point. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But then I hit that point, and it sucks. But, I mean, and it was funny because when I was playing John Numbers, I felt like, because how it happened was, if John Numbers, I'm not even going to get into it, but John Numbers kept telling me just play him out. He didn't want to beat me if I didn't play my best. So I'm like, fine. And I ended up like actually taking a really quick stock off of him, or at least or maybe not. Maybe I just got like a really quick percentage, taken on him like really quick. And he was like, holy crap. But then I fell back into that like sort of mopey mindset, and I just sort of gave up, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, and I felt like I definitely needed that. Like, I'm not going to be really good really quickly. I'm gonna have those sort of tournaments where I'm just gonna suck.
Yeah, you gotta have the Smash Fest. You gotta have the practice, and whether or not it feels like you're improving, because I can tell you from experience that when you feel like you're at a plateau, it literally feels like you're not going anywhere, and if you keep entering with the same amount of work or the lack thereof, you're going to keep plateauing at that same placing. When you finally start to put in the work and you do go to the Smash Fest and you find yourself actively learning things and choosing new options that you have to say out loud, like, wow, I didn't know that. And even if everybody else knew it, it's something new that I learned. And when you start to apply each of those things, you'll be getting better. You won't realize it, but you'll actually be getting better, and then you'll place higher, and you'll be like, wait, I just got this like amazing placing. Like, where'd this come from? Like, that's pretty much how it happens. It's a process that you don't understand like when it's happening. It's gradual, but it's hard to see it until you actually get the placing, and then you realize that you did put in the work.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm hoping that these next few weeks end up being worthwhile for me. I'm hoping that I end up getting to Will's sometime this week so we can practice and he'll teach me some stuff, whatever. And then there's a play and trade the next day, which I'm hoping either I'll probably just enter and, whatever. But then there's KTAR the week after and all of that. So, there's stuff to look forward to. I'm not out of it, so I'm hyped. And that should be motivation for anyone else out there that may be feeling the same as me, because you'll get there eventually, hopefully. And if not, there's always commentary to do. So at least that's something to look forward to. But enough about that, and I want to move into the last segment, which we'll do in just a bit, because the same thing that happened to me didn't happen to a lot of really awesome people at EVO this past weekend. We had watched some awesome sets for Street Fighter.
Shout outs to Seabrook.
Shout outs to Seabrook. Why?
Because he came in second in Super Street Fighter AE.
Oh, yeah, I know. We'll get into that in a second. But there's, there were some hype sets in Street Fighter, Marvel, Tekken, not Tekken. Tekken's boring shit. Never mind. Blaze Blue, all of that. But there's been a lot of hype in the Smash community for some EVO-related and non-EVO-related reasons. And we're going to get into that in a second, so stay tuned. Now, what I was talking about just before we cut into transition was EVO 2K11, 2011, which happened in Las Vegas, as it does every year, this past weekend. On the same weekend as LIRR, GSL in Korea for StarCraft 2, MLG Anaheim, Halo Reach, Call of Duty Black Ops, StarCraft 2. And it was an amazing weekend for competitive gaming. EVO did happen. It was some amazing sets we watched. I know 100% Juice went there. Which is, the old Smash crew that sort of moved on from Smash. I know Zuko got, top 48 in Marvel, which is huge considering that, 1,000 people, enter this shit.
33rd place, yo. Shout-outs to Baby Zuko.
Yeah, he did really good. Congratulations to him. I think Cheese told me this, that in Marvel or Street Fighter, 2 old Smash players actually did really, top 32. But I can't remember their names. Either way, that's actually pretty cool. Street Fighter was hype. We got to watch guys like Punko, who destroyed with Seth, as he always does, the machine. We had United States slowly wither away as Wolf Crone ended up getting eliminated, though Latif coming in second place.
The American Savior.
Who was...
A.K.A. Seabrook.
AKA the guy who was actually from Saudi Arabia and now lives in Arizona. He did a lot of work, though. He sort of got manhandled by...
He kind of had a ridiculous, loser's bracket triumph.
He did. He really did. He sort of came back, in more ways than one. And, when he made it back to grand finals to play Fudo, oh my god. I was so happy. The guy did really put in so much work. And Daigo, the Beast, not making top 3 in Street Fighter, which is unheard of. Marvel had some amazing stuff. Combo Fiend putting in work, but ultimately that was not owned by Combo Fiend. Who won Marvel? I can't even remember. There's so many names that ended up. Justin Wong, I know. Maybe Justin Wong won it?
No.
He didn't. He came in second. Either way.
I know for a fact that Viscount,
that's who. Yeah, Viscount defeated Justin Wong, and that was really awesome. He did a lot of work, and he's been working at it for a while. But enough on that. The real thing we want to talk about here is within the past 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even that, maybe the past month, the month of July really, the Smash community has been oddly hyped up for a number of reasons. First off was the Meta Knight ban, and this was, I believe, right after Pray and Trade, that this started showing up, was this sort of community-wide, all as raw Smash board sort of can we ban MK? Can we ban MK? Let's pull it. Let's whatever, reviving pro ban, discussion. When Evo came around, and Evo was, as of this recording, just yesterday. Everybody was like, wow, we want Smash back on that. Let's change the rule set so it's not as boring. All of that. Literally, within the past 24 hours, the amount of blogs about changing the rule set and making it like more like Street Fighter rule set and making it, whatever to make it less boring and that's to get Evo to pick it back up after. Which, by the way, Evo has not had Brawl or Smash in general at all, but namely Brawl since 2009, where it was a side event after following the 2008 event. Matt, I know you wanted to talk about this, so I guess I'll let you continue.
Yeah. Well, I just think that it's about time that we actually just started taking it a lot more seriously, like our professionalism as a community. Like, if you watch the Evo streams and you watch these commentators, I forget their names, but the people who were like commentating Street Fighter were excellent commentators. They knew what they were talking about. B, hardly went off topic, but just enough where it was, amusing, keeping people on, interested. And C, they just got people hyped up for everything.
I know for a fact I can name some commentators, but for the most part, it was like James Chen, Ultra
Yes.
David, and
Yeah, James Chen and
Killian.
Yes, all three of them
They
were
so
excellent.
hype.
They were
they did an amazing
so
job.
good.
And they weren't Adam Sessler.
And there are people in this community who can do that. I would like to think of myself as one of them, but there are definitely a lot more people out there who get on commentary and they do a great job at everything they do. They look professional. They sound professional. You can show somebody a video on YouTube and you say, here, this is the game I play, and there will be commentary detailing exactly what's going on in the match. But we don't really have that. Like, if you think of like good commentators, like for Brawl, a lot of people will tell you, funny commentary is good commentary, or like homemade waffles commentary is good commentary. And I'm not saying that if that's your personal preference, that's not a good thing, but I'm saying that to grow the community, that's not good commentary to have. That's funny, and it might be good for like locals that only a few people are watching, but once you get to a more national level, I think that commentary goes out the window. You should no longer have that. We should go back to more of like the husband-wife commentary. Like I've said before, they were two excellent commentators for Melee. They set a great example. And if you still want to show people a great Melee match, you show them a Melee match that husband and wife commentated, because they gave a perfect representation of what the game is. It doesn't just go for commentary, obviously. As a community, we've been trying to get a more, Shoryuken is pretty much the soul. The Street Fighter, Marvel, those communities, they revolve around Shoryuken, and a lot of the rule sets and stuff will get posted up on there. And obviously, it's more difficult to make a rule set for Smash, but we've been trying. Alpha Zealot, love him or hate him, has gone through a lot of effort. Like I've said, I respect him a lot for doing such a thing, but he's gone through a lot of effort to make sure that we're sort of at least mostly united. And that we're punishing people who break rules like Mewtwo King and others, just showing them that it's important that we have this structure set up. If without a structure, it's just chaos. We can't display to the world we can't display to Evo, we can't display to anybody. Evo, when they had a Smash event, which was Brawl, I'm not sure if they ever hosted Melee, but when they did host Brawl, there was items on the first tournament, because there's no standard rule set that we could use at the time. But we're trying to make one. We're trying to work on that. It's definitely like a work in progress, and I understand that, but there's also, a lot of other things that we can work on in the meantime. I know, and I'll plug it right now, On All Is Brawl, our boy Doom, who has kind of left the community, but he's still involved, and we gotta love him. But he's been making, he's gonna start making blogs. He released the first one. It's called The Road to Professionalism, and he did talk about like a lot of how we overuse the words like gay and rape in the community, which I mean they're fun words to use, but I mean that doesn't let off a level of professionalism that we want to show to the world, you know? I mean, he said it best himself in his blog. He said a lot of people were saying, you know, oh, Smash is not going to go anywhere anymore. You know, like that is a defeatist opinion. That is, if you're a true competitive Smash player and you really love the game, you want to see it get back on the MLG circuit. You want to see Evo hosting events. You want to see giant sponsorships for Smash. I mean, a lot of games have taken off and just have gotten these humongous sponsorships. Halo, all those sorts of games, like they just kind of started getting sponsorships from MLG, all that sort of stuff. But we worked from the bottom up ourselves. I mean, if we're strong enough to do that, there's absolutely no reason that we can't, as a community, come together, change a couple things around that are important changes in order to better our community. There's absolutely no reason for you to say that Smash is not going anywhere, because it went somewhere probably when people said that it wasn't going anywhere, back when Azen was beating people in tournament with Link with items on in Melee. Like, no one knew that Smash would take off like it did. So the sky is the limit. We have places to go, and there are a lot of things that we can do. And I've outlined a couple of them, but I mean, you guys know what's up. Stop not taking showers. Stop shouting words like rape and gay across entire venues. Stop hopping.
Stop trolling for the most part, because like I read a little bit of Doom's blog. I didn't get to finish the whole thing, but there are people that are just they will just poke fun at every serious attempt that people have of trying to make this a more competitive environment and to get us out there, like get us out there more in the public. There are steps we have to take in order to become more professional. And if you guys are just gonna like purposely try to bring it down by trolling and like just not taking it seriously, then it's a shame, really.
And I mean, that's really why people don't take All Is Brawl seriously anymore. I mean, that's literally all the kinds of people that are on All Is Brawl. Like, I think that there's a lot of good things that All Is Brawl has done. I mean, like, it's obviously like an awesome interactive place for people to go. I mean, it's not dull like Smashboards was. It's still a little dull, even though they did try to change it up a little bit. They innovated it a little bit. But I mean, there are definitely positives and negatives to both sites. I would recommend some sort of fusion of the two, which I think is also really important. I don't know if people are talking about it or whatever, but I think that would be important, because when you see like all these games revolving around Shoryuken, or all these games revolving around Dust Loop, which if you guys don't know, that's Guilty Gear and BlazBlue. They're all like they all revolve around one site, and we revolve around two for two totally different purposes. I think it would be a good idea to try to fuse the two somehow. Sort of be more harsh on these sort of troll people. Like, I mean, they do have a place in the community, but I mean, like, it's a little ridiculous at this point. Like, these trolls that just come to All Is Brawl and they try to derail these serious blogs about, you know, bettering things. And they don't belong in this community. I mean, most of them don't even play Brawl anymore, and they've said that before, so I don't know why they're even on a Smash site to begin with. But that's pretty much my point, is that we just have to be more professional. And although we're taking steps, there are a lot more things that we can do in the meantime.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head quite a few times with what you're saying. I mean, with sponsorships, and this is the thing though, is that any game can become a competitive game if people are willing to play it competitively for the right reasons. I mean, Halo became big because it has a pretty basic formula competitively, but because Bungie supported it competitively, MLG was willing to pick it up competitively. I mean, look at Call of Duty Black Ops. Call of Duty Black Ops isn't the best competitive game. It's dominated by the FAMAS. It's dominated by perks that people really don't think are worth competitively. The formula itself doesn't really work towards a LAN offline competitive scene, but Sony supports it, so it's on the MLG circuit. Whereas we took this upon ourselves without any developer support, without any sponsor support, to make this game what it is today. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect for a while, if it is ever. But we have to start somewhere. And I had noticed a lot of people were like, well, it's been 3 years. It doesn't matter how long it's been. You can change things whenever. The fact of the matter remains that Street Fighter has been around for, over a decade. And its competitive scene has been developing for over a decade. It's not surprising to see that the Street Fighter community every year comes together as the same people playing the same game with the same rule set. Why? Because it's fine how it is, and that's how it's been developing. Smash is not going to be like that. Smash is still relatively young compared to Street Fighter, even if you include the entire franchise. Just Brawl is only 3 years old. There's no reason why we can't treat the game like a new game. It is still a new game. There's no reason to say why we can't just go and change the rule set. That doesn't mean we should go and just change the rule set randomly because we think it'll work. But it doesn't mean that we should be ignorant and arrogant of change just because the game's been out for 3 years. Look at Halo. Halo has a new game, every few years, but the rule set itself is still relatively the same. But they do make changes to it. I've seen it. And that just comes with the territory because the games are different. Halo Reach is not Halo 3. Halo 3 was not Halo 2. But we treated, as when we got into this, Brawl a lot like Melee 2. So we took the Melee rules and then tweaked them a little bit to make Brawl. But clearly, that doesn't really work. We need to look at how we view this game competitively. It does matter what other people that don't play the game think. Because if we are just playing the game and no one's watching, there's no point in playing. Unless you're just in it to make money, in which case that's perfectly fine. There are people that do that anyway. But there's no reason to not try and get an audience, to try and get sponsors, to try and get developer support. Because whether you like it or not, you may think, the game's not going to change, or there's no point in changing the TOs that have been TOing for years are not going to change anything. They know what's up. It's newer players that don't know what they're talking about. The game becomes boring very quick. And it's very easy to neglect a game that is boring. Street Fighter, whether you say it is boring or not, clearly has a fan base. And even the competitive scene is a lot bigger than Smash's. And that's because the game actually is pretty interesting if you get into it. Brawl, for people that myself, Will, Matt, people that have been playing the game for a while, even longer, will get bored watching the game. We all know how boring Meta Knight Dittos are. We know how boring people jumping on the ledges is. But that's just how the game is built. We got to work with what we want to work with, and it's up to people that are passionate enough about the game to say, all right, this game is boring. Let's make it, different. I don't care if, this is how we've been playing the game for 3 years, but we're not going to be playing it that much longer if we keep playing it the same way we are.
All right, my take on Evo and its relation to the Smash community and why we're all getting so excited and why everything's been building up is that if you look at the Street Fighter community, I don't know if you guys saw that crowd, but shit, if that's not inspiring. Like, there's thousands of people in that room watching two people on one screen, which I'm sure there was also a big screen for everybody, projected on that everybody could watch. But what was it, 90 pools of 16 or something crazy like that? That was the Street Fighter?
Yeah.
Those were the Street Fighter
like
entrants.
92 pools, 16 people.
That's approximately 1,500 entrants, and that blows everything that we've ever had out of the water. But for people to say, man, I wish Brawl or Melee was that hype, like I wish we played a game that was worthy of like that many entrants. But no, I feel like instead of being like, hey, let's just go play Street Fighter, which you could also play it because it's like extremely popular, you could be inspired as a part of the Smash community and be like, hey, we could be that big too. I mean, they have obviously they're backed by the companies that actually make the game. And again, we've talked about how whether or not that's a possibility for us, but since we are as strong as we are as a grassroots community, we should be inspired. People should be already looking at how gorgeous that stream was and like finding out how they made it like so amazing. Like VG Boot can't get on that because my God, that stream was like sex. I'm sorry.
And I want to say something too. To anyone who's streaming, this goes for anybody, okay? Chibo brought his laptop, a recording device. I don't remember what brand it was, but it didn't matter. He brought his mic. I brought my mic. We ended up only using his because there was an echo. And the stream quality was perfectly fine. The sound quality was perfectly fine. And the stream went perfect without a hitch. Why we can't do this for every national, every regional, every local that permits that kind of treatment is beyond me. There's really no reason for it at this point. We may have only been playing this game for 3 years, but it doesn't take 3 years to provide quality streaming, and there's no reason why we shouldn't not do it. I
agree.
I hate the entire philosophy of, well, we don't need a stream. People should be here. That's not how it works, because that's pretty much telling professional sports fans, we might as well just come to the game regardless of your financial situation or your location, because we don't care about you. That's not how it works, okay? That's not how you get fans. That's not how you get an audience. That's not how you get promotions, and that's not how you get exposure for your game. You need to let people watch it if they can't go, because nobody goes to Smash events to just watch as much as they may for Street Fighter, for StarCraft, for Halo, for Gears. That's not where we are right now, especially because of the game we play. Whereas it's clearly the reason for other games, which is why they put on such a huge production for both the people that are not there and the people that are there. They don't cut out the people that are there either, but we're not there yet. That doesn't mean that we can't work towards it.
I'm going to have to go back to the rule set part that you mentioned before, Dakota. Yeah. And that's that, like we've been talking about, we don't have backing from Nintendo. We don't have backing from Sakurai. We all know that we're a grassroots community. So obviously our rule set is going to be a little more difficult to create because this game is competitive, and although it's claimed to not be designed to be competitive, we've made it competitive in Melee, and we've at least attempted to make it competitive in Brawl. Just because we've had these rules since the beginning and they seem to make the most sense at this current point in time does not mean that we can't change them to better our game, or at least try to. Because let's face it, there are a lot of issues. I mean, I'm clearly not just talking about like, oh, let's remove Pokemon Stadium 2. I mean, those are minor changes that we could make at any point in time. I'm talking about huge rules like ledge grab limits, like Meta Knight. These sorts of things, excuse me, have to be addressed, even though they're really, I mean, it's definitely a picky issue. I mean, but we have to look at, I mean, it took Melee so long to develop. There's no reason that Brawl should take such a short time to develop fully. I mean, if we look at what Meta Knight is doing to the game, I mean, we have to make entire rule sets around him, which include stages, time limits, stocks, ledge grab limits. We have to make so many rules around him. So why not try banning him? Why not see what's going on? I'm not saying, I mean, I have recently become more so pro-ban, but I mean, regardless of what your opinion is, you have to see at some point that we have to trust our rule set in somebody's hands. If Sakurai had given us this game without Meta Knight, I mean, would we have said it's okay? I mean, we probably would, because it comes from the designer himself. But we don't have that sort of opportunity where, I mean, Bungie or these sorts of companies, I mean, Sony can't just give us these rule sets and be like, oh, well, this is how you should play this game competitively. We don't have that option. I mean, like his opinions or not, Alpha Zealot has taken it into his hands to at least try and make a more optimal rule set. Because, I mean, let's face it, our current rule set isn't really working out as we wanted it to. There's a lot more timeouts. There's a lot more boring play than we'd like to see. And there's definitely ways we can improve that. But we're just being so stubborn that we're just not looking at the options to what we can change and how we can change it. We just want to stick to the old conservative, rule set, and that's how we want to play the game. But it's not appealing to anybody looking at the game from an outside point of view, and it's really not appealing to the people who've been playing this game for 3 years. Like I said, we're trying to step it up rule set wise, but I think a lot of people have to understand that you cannot please 100% of the people 100% of the time, and we have to look at it as though we have to take this rule set into our own hands, as though we were the creators of this game, producing a sort of rule set to go by. I mean, it took the Super Turbo community, I don't know how long it took them to decide that Akuma was that good, but I mean, who is Serlin to say, or anybody to say, that we have to apply the same logic? I mean, we're all reasonable human beings. We can definitely see that it's a problem. So why don't we at least attempt to tweak the rule set as opposed to being stubborn about it?
Yeah, and it'll be somewhat of a different game, most likely, depending on how we tweak the game. But there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, overall, it's still going to be Smash. I know, this recently, as of maybe today, people advocating 2 stock matches as opposed to 3 stock. Lowering the time limit. And people are like, well, then timeouts will happen more often. Well, we've been advocating timeout as a fully legitimate way to play the game, so there's no reason why this is any different. And even then, with 2 stocks, it's very less, frequent that'll probably happen. And then people are like, oh, well, comebacks won't happen as often. Games will be more, things. Well, that's just Smash. People want more chances to come back, but the fact is that when you play Street Fighter, if you don't have that, if you don't really do what you need to do to get that comeback back, you're gonna get bodied, and there are no second chances. It's best of 3. Your opponent needs to KO you 4 times, and that's it in a best of 3 set. That's it. That's all that comebacks happen within those. Those single rounds, not, and a round in Street Fighter is more equivalent to a stock in Smash. We'll be seeing comebacks happen more so in a stock rather than between stocks, someone having 2 stocks, the other person having 1 stock. Rather, it'll be more percent-based comebacks. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having someone come back from being down 100% to coming back and winning. People want to see, a 2 stock comeback, but that's the kind of game we play, and maybe that's not the best thing. Maybe some people agree with that, but clearly that's not what a lot of people agree with. I'd rather see a percent comeback. I personally think that's more interesting than saying, a stock comeback. That's a really long way to come back. And whether it's a comeback or not, you take that away from someone, but it's a boring way to play the game. And maybe we do gotta maybe we have to ban Meta Knight and then go to 2 stocks and go to 5 minutes if it means to make the game more fun, make the game more competitive, make the game more entertaining. There's no reason not to try. There's no reason not to give it a shot, because if we sit here and do the same thing over and over again, we're not making any progress that could be potentially being made. That doesn't mean change every tournament to a Meta Knight ban 2 stock 5 minutes. But there's no reason not to try it as a side event, or try it at a local, or whatever. Maybe, do it a Wi-Fi tournament. I don't care. Just try. Make something happen, I'm all for having your own opinions, but when it comes to ceasing what could be potential growth, it's almost stupid to argue. And I'm sorry for anybody who advocates dumb rules, but the next time someone suggests airtime limits, I'm going to freak out. That is not progressing the game. You're punishing people for jumping, and that's specified at a few people. That just annoys me. But regardless, there's something that needs to be done. And I'm not saying it has to happen in a day, a week. It doesn't mean that we all have to do it. But there's something that needs to be done. The Smash community is very capable of changing for the better, because there's clearly enough passion to do it between all the players. Sakurai did one good thing when he made this game competitive, in a competitive way. and he didn't make it competitively. But there's one good thing he did, and the one good thing he did was giving us the ability to change the settings however we want, and giving us a lot of customization. That means that we have a lot of options to play the game how we want. So sticking to one old, tried, and not so true, stale way of playing the game almost goes against the entire mantra of trying to play Smash however you want. So take that how you will, take it with a grain of salt, but there's so many ways we can play this game. Why not try them? Why not give it a shot? Maybe one stock food on 75 meters, maybe not the best way. But I think, as Matt said, we're all reasonable human beings. I think we can all come together and try out some different options, try out new rule sets, and see what works. Because in the end, all we're wasting is maybe some time. And if it doesn't work, we'll go back to how it worked originally. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I hope that at least some people realize that, because this game can be boring. And there's so many ways we can change it for the better. Like, honestly, there's no reason why we shouldn't try it.
As a final point,
yeah,
I would just like to address that as far as the people go that are attempting to hinder the development of this game, and I mean those people who are so anti-Unity that, and I'm going to actually have to put Vinny on blast here, even though he's one of my good friends. I'm going to have to put him on blast that we're not getting anywhere by being those sort of, teenagers who are going out past their curfew like, yeah, I'm so cool, I'm going against I'm going against the grain. That's not getting us anywhere. And by calling this Unity rule set out and being so anti-Unity that you would go so far as to never support it ever and just pretty much ignore its existence and just go on with whatever you're doing and whatever you view as competitive, you have to understand that's not getting us anywhere. If you really think that something is so wrong with that and you're a top player and you understand how this game works, and a lot of us are at this point, to the point where we understand how the game works, we understand in a general idea what would be best for the game, then just join up in this Unity thing. There's no point in going in with this idea that you're going to go out hating people for their ideas and their attempt to make our game a lot more competitive than it is right now. So if you're really that against what the Unity currently is right now, then go out and change it for yourself. Make your own Unity community. I don't care. Do whatever it takes, but don't try and fight this idea that we don't need people telling us what to do, because honestly, we do. Let's face it, we do. We need people telling us what to do. Shooters, they have people telling them what to do. That's the company that backs them. And it would be a lot easier if Nintendo said, here, this is how Brawl is supposed to be played competitively. But we don't have that. We have to trust our rule set and our livelihood as far as Smash goes in the hands of these people creating this Unity rule set. And it is best to at least try and aid that process than go against it, because it's not getting us anywhere.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, most of us are teenagers, and we are dumb and play our Pokemans and, don't know what we're doing, don't put in a hard day's work like old grandpa did. But yeah, you're very, very, very correct. So I guess I can wrap up this episode of DI, unless, Will, you have anything to say? No? Okay.
The only thing that I'm probably gonna say is that I've been pretty lax lately. I haven't really hosted anything in a while. But if and when I do start hosting events, now that Long Island is like revived and raring to go again, I don't know. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do, but I would definitely encourage the progression of the rule set towards something that we could all, or at least mostly, agree upon. And I think it's a big part of what the Unity rules, the BVRRC, is trying to do. Is just bring our community together and in a way that it hasn't been able to really unite, and not in a way that's like, like tyranny. And then if everyone, if you go against the grain, then you're going to be punished for it and not sticky on Smashboards. I don't know. I think some things get a little out of hand, but I think it's better that some action is taken so that people start to get the message.
Yeah, sometimes people need a slap on the wrist. Nothing wrong with that.
I just hope that we're moving in the right direction, and I don't know. I'm all for changing the rule set around a little bit, even though we are in the probably most conservative part of the country when it comes to the rule set. Like Vinny actually just mentioned he wants me to host Uprise 6 in his stead. I don't know if I'm going to be able to on August 20th. I'm going to have to look into it. But he mentioned experimenting using like the Japanese stage list.
Wow. Well, there you have it, folks. New York, New Jersey, known for being ultra conservative and breeding Mennonites.
Counter picks.
No counter picks.
Meta Knight banned in doubles.
I don't know. I'd like that. Maybe. I don't know. Well,
that would be interesting to try.
That could be something we could discuss on another episode of DI, because I know we are definitely getting there in terms of the end of the episode.
Yeah, look forward to that in the future. Like that's just trying something different. That's trying what Japan does, and if you watch their videos, like Japan is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's very true. But even if it doesn't work out, I hear that Hello Kitty Island Adventure 2 is coming out soon, so we could all move on to that. That'd be hype.
Hello Kitty hype.
Yeah, Hello Kitty hype. 2013, let's do it. All right, everybody, that brings us to the end of Directional Influence episode 43. I remembered again, I'm 2 for 2. So obviously I want to give a big shout out and thanks to VVV Gaming for hosting us for 43 episodes, even more or less, whatever. Thanks to them for doing so. We're very happy for that. You guys can catch us on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll have links up for you guys to click that if you would like to. You can search us on Facebook. If you don't click that link, Directional Influence, you can join the group, and you'll get updates on the show, including when the episodes come out, and then topics we'll talk about. I'm always posting on that site, that page, so it was a direct connection to me personally. Twitter, I'm always talking on there, so hit me up. Feel free to follow me. That's VVV Rapture, no spaces. Sounds exactly like it's spelt, vice versa. We're also on All's Brawl, where we have our blogs, which is probably one of the ways you got to this. Smashboards. We also have our pin thread on the General Brawl discussion boards, which I'll probably link to as well. And yeah, I mean, if you ever need to leave us comments, feel free to. We love them. We love your feedback. If you ever post questions, comments, concerns, we'd love to put them on the episode if it pertains to what we talked about or what we're going to talk about. So that's definitely hype. Next week, I don't know exactly what we're talking about. That's usually what happens here on DI, which will just surprise even ourselves. But I don't know. Maybe this next week we'll bring something interesting to talk about, in which case we will talk about it, because as the Smash community has proved that and nothing gets by us, there's definitely always something to talk about, so we'll certainly do that. In terms of personal shout-outs, I'd like to give a huge shout-out to everybody that made this weekend really awesome. The guys at Evo, MLG, GSL, LIRR. I mean, making this one of the best competitive gaming weekends of all time, especially with Evo and MLG Anaheim. It definitely gave me another reason to sit inside and sit on my computer all day to watch those streams. Also, shoutouts to VVV Rio, who is our top Mortal Kombat 9 player. The new Mortal Kombat player who took second at Evo this year, which is amazing. He did an amazing job. Definitely an awesome Mortal Kombat player. Shoutouts to him. And finally, oh my god, I had another shout out. I can't remember. So I'm just going to skip it. I'll think of it. All right, Matt, any shout outs for you?
Shout outs to the people being innovative and people trying to work on making this community better. And shout outs to the commentators who, despite all the want of this so-called hype commentary, actually do commentary on matches. And shout outs to my girlfriend, who is right next to me right now and actually was at the tournament on Saturday and managed to bear with me through all the sweatiness and hype and being bored and Dakota's raunchy ways.
You know what? I have great conversations. Everybody doesn't even know.
Oh man.
Hype.
All right, yo, shout out.
I didn't ask you about shout-outs, Will.
Okay, shut up. Shout outs to TV and Black and Ease for having the best doubles team in the world, and for causing Anti to tell me on the side that he thinks that ZSS Game & Watch beats double Meta Knight. Like, he legit had to switch off of Meta Knight and go Diddy Kong to be able to disrupt that team.
That's crazy.
That's pretty mind-boggling. But yeah, shout out to mind-boggling.
Also, I remember my shout-out. Shout-outs to Icy Light for falling asleep in his car and then getting promptly DQ'd because no one could find him. Apparently that happened. So for those of you who participate in singles, try not to nap during. I think he wasn't even planning on playing, but gotta get your naps in. I know like 3 different people napped just like during the tournament, especially Nairo. And shout outs to the commentary people, including myself, Black and Ease, Jash, who all hopped on and did some commentary, and Dark Peach with that creepy ass Yu-Gi-Oh mask.
Oh my god.
And his cards. That is definitely something for next week or maybe. But oh my god, Dark Peach can definitely come in clutch with the entertainment. Anyway, that wraps up DI episode 43. Yes, 43. Oh my god, I forgot it. Damn it. Episode 43. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave us feedback, comments, wherever you can. Let us know you love it. And we'll continue to bring you the awesomest Smash podcast that's out right now, and the only one worth listening to. Though there are some other ones like Havoc's and all of that. But that's besides the point. DI is where it's at. Thanks for listening. See you guys next week on Directional Points. Peace. And we're done.